Oh, goody.
All right, what's up, everybody? Zombies here again, and today we have another heroic Alterac Valley bounty. This is bounty number 2 of 6. This is the Lewis Phillips fight, and it is the one you need to do to unlock Wrathion's equipment. It's for this equipment right here, the Horn of Wrathion, that allows True Form to have no cooldown and grants a plus attack on use. So really cool and potentially useful equipment. So you'll want to be getting this. For this one, the boss is a very large green unit. So I figured for a fight like this, we would definitely want Tyrion, as he just, is really good at shrinking things. If you can get his Judgment of Humility off. For clearing through the bounty, I just went with Anduin and Velen. Just, up that AoE damage with the Harmonic Mallet on Anduin, and Velen to combo with him for more AoE damage. And then Tyrion, we have him for the boss fight. He's just, good at shrinking the boss, because the main boss does have 45 attack, so he will kill your stuff very quickly. Got to be careful with that. For the same kind of reason, we are running Cornelius here. Basically, Cornelius is just a nice wall. 2-speed taunt is nice. The heal is nice. And Blessing of Sacrifice can also really come in handy, potentially. And then, last but definitely not least, star of the show here, Varian. So Varian is how we are going to be trying to win this bounty. Basically, Retaliation is the skill of choice here. And since they are all green units, we end up hitting them for a huge amount of damage with Varian's Retaliation. Worth noting, we are running the Charlemagne because it does basically scale better than the War Banner. Basically, on this one, you really do want to look for those human buff treasures along the way, as we do want to buff our units as much as possible. We are running almost all humans here. The only non-human we are running is Velen to go with the Anduin. But yeah, everyone else is human, so definitely get your human buffs. You'll want them for the final fight. This one, without a dedicated team, this fight can be pretty tricky, to be honest. I tried it once or twice with just a random, team I normally farm with, and it did not work well at all. So I think you definitely need a bit more of a proactive strategy on this one compared to the first fight, which was a little bit easier. But this one, if you come with the right mercenaries, isn't super hard either. So those are the mercs we're going to need here. Just looking over the equipment one more time really quick. We have the mallet on Anduin. We have the Tome of Inspiration on Velen. Tyrion, we're rocking Tyrion's shield. You could theoretically use the others as well, but I think this is the best one for PvE. Cornelius, less damage, and then Varian, passive plus attack. Doesn't matter what we're running on Wrathion, as we're not going to really be using him. He is just along to get the item. It is important to note that you need him in the party to unlock the item. That is the case with all these heroic bounty unlocks, so do save a spot for each character for each of these specific bounties to unlock their item. But that is all the info on our team here. Let us get into the bounty. So, as is tradition here, we are going to speed through the bounties. This is bounty number 2 of 6 in Alterac Valley. And this one gave me a little bit of trouble, to be honest. The first few times I tried it, before I really tried to create a specific strategy for it, the main boss we end up fighting has 45 attack, so he can actually kill you very quickly. Pretty scary. And it is pure fighters, so you do have to be careful. As you can see, we do have our double casters here. We basically just use them as a little bit of backline reserve towards the end, just in case, but they're really just here to help us clear through. So you don't need the Holy Anduin stuff. If you want to run like Fire Comp or something instead, I think that would also be fairly viable for clearing the heroic, at least, the regular fights up to the boss. In terms of the actual fight itself, we're going to get to that in a minute here. But if you do, come with a team prepared for it, it's not too bad. I do also recommend Cornelius for coming up if you do want to use the holy comp, but maybe you don't want to use Tyrion, or you don't want to use Tyrion for the fights leading up to the boss. Cornelius is actually a pretty good substitution because he's really good at keeping your casters safe and alive, which is always nice. So you can progress hopefully as fast as possible. These are obviously, the easy part of the bounty. Bosses are where it gets a little bit harder. With this boss, he actually summons more units that are also big, so that's kind of why I wanted to bring Tyrion. Another interesting thing you could do is bring someone like Xyrella to lower that attack, but I think waiting a turn for the Tyrion ability and making it super duper small is worth more than just the initial slightly smaller on turn 1. You could actually basically almost totally skip turn 1 if you really wanted to for the boss, but we're at the boss, so we're going to take a look at the strategies here. So this was actually my first attempt with this team, so I was not 100% sure what to do, but obviously the combo we're going for here is the Varian, basically trying to smack all these dudes for big damage. You want to grab as many buffs for humans and alliance characters as you can as treasures as you're progressing this run. As you'll see, my characters are pretty buffed up, and that's good because we're going to be doing direct damage with them. So I do end up retaliating on the first turn, and it does end up working out here. However, an alternate strategy you can do is you can just taunt up with Cornelius and then wait a turn, don't do anything with Tyrion, don't do anything with Varian, and then the next turn you can protect your Varian with your Cornelius and make sure Cornelius takes all the damage so your Varian doesn't die. But even without doing that, look how much damage that did. We did a huge amount of damage to the boss. We killed both his summons, and he almost killed our Varian. So you do have to be careful doing this. I do have a maxed Varian, so that is probably the reason why he ended up living there. But now I can just shrink him with Tyrion, and that'll actually let our Varian survive for another turn. Get another retaliate off, and that should be more than enough to quickly kind of sweep up this boss fight. That swings at the Anduin. We get a free swing in for 98 damage. Look at that. And now it'll be nice and easy. We'll just protect, go for it again, and that's it. So yeah, if you use Varian, this fight is not too bad. He's definitely kind of the merc that makes it a lot easier. You probably could do a similar situation like this with the Garrosh kill like we did on Nefarian, where you get Garrosh down low enough and then maybe decrease his attack with Tyrion and make them battle to the death. That's an interesting strategy I haven't personally tested, but it could be worth trying out. I do have some footage here of doing the kill one more time though. I did want to try and see how things would go if Varian died, if it is still, viable to beat this way. And so we're going to look at that here. Like I said before, that strategy I mentioned where you wait a turn, I don't have footage of that, but I did test it once or twice off camera, and it does seem to work pretty well. So that's another thing you can consider. Here we can see my Varian actually has way more health than it did on the last fight, because I guess I got better treasures here. And I opt to not attack with the Tyrion, just taunt up, go for the retaliation, and look how much damage this is going to do. Boom, 80. But I do end up swinging back into it twice, so my Varian ends up dying this time. However, this really isn't too much of an issue, because even though it still has about 200 HP, we can still take it down pretty easily. We just want to kind of protect our Cornelius here, as he is our last remaining red. So we do want to try and keep him as safe as possible to get him that big damage. Luckily we have some healing here, so that's going to help a lot. Boom, smacks in, doesn't do very much. His other summon is dead, and now we can pretty much easily pick him off this turn. So yeah, nice and easy. Still works out even if your Varian dies, but definitely recommend doing Varian. Sometimes just don't act on turn 1. Use Cornelius to protect Varian, and then you can get, you know, super big damage without losing him. So that's an option too. But that's going to do it for this video. If you enjoyed it, do remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.